Just because the rent you charge your tenant is higher than your mortgage, that does not mean that you are profitable as a landlord. Past couple of years, becoming a real estate investor has become extremely trendy. These 4 expenses are something that a lot of people aren't taking into account when they're looking for rental properties, or even a lot of first-time investors, they aren't thinking about it as they move out of their current home and turn it into a rental. They just think, if I'm charging $2,200 for rent and my mortgage is $1,800, I'm making money. But that's not necessarily true. The first expense is, of course, your mortgage. Your mortgage payment likely includes your insurance. You want to make sure you have the right insurance policy set up, so talk to your broker. And it's your property taxes. Now, here in Illinois, we have high property taxes. One thing to be aware of is that if this is an investment property, you're not going to have that homestead exemption, and your property taxes will go up if they currently have that exemption on them. So definitely take that into account when you're running your numbers. Number 2, we have maintenance. Of course, things break. My last maintenance call, I had to replace a faucet. It cost me about $200, or replace a filter in the toilet, cost me about $100. Things come up, and as a landlord, you need to fix those things. After maintenance, there's capital expenditures. Now, this can be confusing because capital expenditures, similar to maintenance, but it's your bigger ticket items. They're your kitchen cabinets, your countertops, your furnace, your water heater. Now, these things, let's say the furnace, for example, an average the last 20 years. It's a big expense, maybe $3,500, $4,000, and you're going to pay that at one time. Now, if we're looking at this just from a one-time payment perspective, in that month, you just lost a lot of money. So what we want to do with these capital expenditures is break up that cost into monthly fees, right? Monthly costs. So if your furnace is going to cost you $4,000, it's going to last 20 years. You're going to take that $4,000, you're going to divide it by 20, then you're going to divide it by 12, and you're going to come up with how much does that furnace cost to operate or to replace on a monthly basis. And that is how we figure out, are you profitable monthly when you compare your monthly cash flow to your monthly expenses. Third, vacancy. This is a big one. Your unit is not always going to be full. You might have a tenant stay 3 to 4 years. That's great, 0 vacancy. But if they leave, what if you have a whole month where you're looking for a tenant? That's a month where your mortgage doesn't get paid. You have to pay out of your own pocket. And so you need to look up vacancy rates in your area, figure out how long it's expected that it's going to take to put a new tenant in there. And this is going to be different for everybody. I use 4% because I know I can get in and I can turn over my property quickly and get a new tenant in there. Some people might want to use 10%. This is going to depend on your area as well. So really you need to dive into the local numbers and see what's going to work best for you. Those are your 4 biggest expenses, unless you end up hiring a property manager as well. And property managers range 8 to 12% typically on average for residential long-term rental. So if you don't plan to manage it yourself, you definitely need to put that into your calculations as well. But I always suggest, as you're starting out especially, manage the properties yourself so you can learn what goes into it and then fully appreciate and understand why property management does cost so much in the future as you grow. If you have any questions, hit me up. My name's Jake McVey with the McVey Group at Coldwell Banker, and I'm a real estate agent and investor here in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. Thanks.